Hi there, I'm Mary Annarella of Lyrical Knits, and this is a knitting tutorial to show you how to do the RT, right twist, and the LT, left twist that are a part of the Mystery Knit-Along Who You Gonna Shawl. Now, this video contains spoilers for the Mystery Knit-Along, so if you don't want a spoiler, then you need to turn this off. However, if you are up to this point in the pattern, then you've already got your spoiler right on your lap there. So let's take a look right here. Okay, you can see some of the previous stitches that you see here from Clue 2. So we are at the point where we're doing this lattice, this lace lattice type of stitch, where you use decreases and yarn overs to make traveling stitches. Now, I've worked up to the point where I have to do a right twist or an RT. Now, the way I remember which direction this is going to go is that a right twist takes the stitch that's on the left and moves it to the right. A left twist does the opposite. So this is a right twist, so we want to move this stitch over here. The way we do it is that you basically want to work that second stitch first. So for the right twist, the RT, the directions say to insert your left needle into the second stitch, insert your right needle into the second stitch on the left needle and knit it. But don't pull the stitches off the needle yet. So you draw your loop through there and then you knit into the front of the first stitch. Draw that loop there and then pull the whole thing off. It looks a little jumbled right now, but once you do a wrong side row, you'll see that this stitch has been moved over to the right, or rather it's really been twisted to the right. I think this is a cool kind of stitch because it makes something that looks like a cable without actually cabling. You're actually twisting the stitches. So with cable stitches, the stitches are traveling, and in twisted stitches, we're making them look like they're traveling. So let's do this again. So I'm going to knit into the front of the second stitch, but leave that stitch on the needle. And then, you know, the stitches get close together, so you may have to spread them apart with your thumb just a little bit here. Get a little closer there, get it in focus, and then knit the first stitch. Then you can lift them both off the needle. All right, so I'm on the other side of the marker here. Helps if you see it. I'm on this side of the marker. We were doing right twists, but I've mirrored these two halves of the shawl, these two sides of the shawl. So we're doing a left twist here. All right, so with left twist, we don't want to take this stitch and move it to the right. We want to take this stitch here and move it over to the left. So left twist is twisting to the left. So this stitch is twisting over here to the left. So for the twist stitch, we always work the second stitch on the left side needle first. So the directions tell you to knit into the back of the second stitch on the needle. So we're going to go into the back of it, and I'll turn this around so you can see I've inserted my needle into the back here, and I'll draw through a loop to knit it, but leave everything on the needle. So it looks kind of like a mess, and that first stitch is right here, and it's right up close and personal to this second stitch. So we knit into the back of the second stitch, done that. Now we need to knit into the front of the first stitch. So to do that, you got to kind of pull them apart a little bit. Twist your needle and put it in through the front, and then draw a loop through and pull the whole thing off that way. All right, now let me show you again. So I got to purl the next two stitches here. All right, let the camera focus for a second. Knit into the back of the second stitch and then knit into the front of the first stitch. So to do that, I insert my needle back here. Can you see that right there? So I'm kind of tilting my work a little bit. I wouldn't tilt it when I'm just doing this on my lap, but I want you to see. draw your loop through, but don't pull anything off the needle just yet. Now knit into the front of the first stitch. And again, to do that, I just kind of use my thumbnail, pull them apart so I can go into the front and pull that through and then lift everything off. Now, let's see. Now this stitch is on the front and it looks like I cabled it. Let's do this one more time and I'm going to show you one more way to do the left twist. I'm using nice sharp needles here, and so I think it makes it a little easier just working with fingering weight yarn in general. So knit into the back of this stitch and then knit into the front of this stitch here. Then lift everything off the needle. So pull that up right there. Draw that loop through. Nice and close. Into the front of the first stitch. Draw the loop through and then lift it all off the needle. There we go. All right, so I have to use my thumb to kind of pull that apart. You saw how I did that. Let me show you a way to do that if you don't like using your thumb for that. Okay, so one other way to do the left twist. So only the left twist has an alternate version. The right twist does not, so go with the directions that I've shown you there. But for the left twist, here's a different option. Slip this first stitch knitwise. I know when you usually slip a stitch, it's purlwise in this pattern, but in this case, you'd slip it knitwise, and then put it back on the left needle. All you've done is change the orientation so that this leg of the stitch is in the front. Then knit into the back of the second stitch, like that, and then knit both stitches together through the front, well, through the back loops, I guess, technically. And that's kind of a neat way to do it too. Let me purl these two stitches. Again, here's where I'm glad I have nice sharp knitting needles. Slip the first stitch knitwise and then put it back on the needle. Knit into the back of the second stitch, doing that. Letting the camera focus, and then knit into both of them together. So that it's not a decrease. I know you're knitting them together, but you still have two loops here. You still have two separate stitches on there. So don't worry about messing up your stitch count. It's not technically a decrease. It's not a decrease at all. So again, slip that first stitch, put it back on the needle, knit into the back, and then knit into both of them. Pretty cool. Now the reason you have to slip and reorient that first stitch, this first stitch here, is because if you knit into the back of the second stitch, like usual, and then knit into both of them here, like that, this front stitch will be twisted, and that's gonna show. And you'll end up with one twisted stitch in each of these like little knitting lines here. So you have to reorient that stitch, knit into the second, and then knit both of them. Personally, I'm not a fan of the extra step myself. Oops, I think I dropped a stitch in there somehow. I'll come back and fix this. I prefer to just let the camera focus, knit into the back stitch, and then knit into the front of the first, like so, just like that. I hope you're enjoying the Mystery Knit Along. Stay tuned for the next clue and for the next tutorial. Who you gonna shawl?